NHL players will not be going to the Olympics in China in February, but it has opened up some dates for makeup games due to this COVID-19 pause. All that, plus some of your mailbag questions on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. I am your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Wednesday, December 22nd, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. The podcast is free and available on all platforms. If you're an Apple user or you have an Android like myself, whatever podcast app you use, please do hit that subscribe button, and each new episode will be automatically added to your feed for you to download, listen, and enjoy. If you could also rate and review, that would be very much appreciated. The podcast over the past couple months has become available on YouTube, so please do subscribe to Locked On Bruins over there as well. If you're on social media, you can find the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins on both Instagram and Twitter. And you can find me, my dad jokes, and hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. Let's begin with the big news of the day. The NHL is on pause now through to Boxing Day, December 26th, when players can gather and resume practicing. But because of this COVID-related pause that has wiped out dozens of games over the last week or so, the NHL and the PA have announced that NHL players will not participate in the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. Statement from Gary Bettman here on Wednesday morning. The NHL respects and admires the desire of NHL players to represent their countries and participate in a best-on-best tournament. Accordingly, we have waited as long as possible to make this decision while exploring every available option to enable our players to participate in the Olympic Games. Unfortunately, given the profound disruption to the NHL's regular season schedule caused by recent COVID-related events, 50 games already postponed through December 23rd, Olympic participation is no longer feasible. Certainly acknowledge and appreciate the efforts made by the International Olympic Committee, the International Ice Hockey Federation, and the Beijing organizing committee to host NHL players, but current circumstances have made it impossible for us to proceed despite everyone's best efforts. Look forward to participation in 2026, those games scheduled to take place in Milan. He added, the focus and goal has been and must remain to responsibly and safely complete the entirety of the NHL regular season and Stanley Cup playoffs in a timely manner. With stringent health protocols once again in place, the league will begin utilizing available dates during the February 6th to 22nd window, originally set aside to accommodate Olympic participation, to reschedule games that have been or may yet be postponed. So what does that mean for our Boston Bruins? Well, the likes of Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand will not be representing Team Canada. David Pastrnak, I'm sure, would have gotten the call. Charlie McAvoy, maybe even Tuukka Rask, not yet a Bruin, but very much a candidate to play for Team Finland. None of those guys will be able to go. One of the main reasons was the fact that if they were to catch COVID over in Beijing, they'd have to isolate there for 3 to 5 weeks, and that's just untenable. You can't have the break conclude, and then you're missing some of those guys for up to a month into the back half of the NHL schedule. Now, TD Garden is one of the arenas that had been pretty highly booked during this anticipated pause. Jeremy Jacobs, Delaware North, not, going to let that rink sit empty for that period of time. Cam Neely met with the media on Zoom here on Wednesday morning and said there's probably 6 to 8 dates available during that window for the Bruins to play some makeup games. As of right now, there have been 2 home games that have been postponed. One was supposed to have been played last night against the Carolina Hurricanes. The other was on tap for tomorrow night against the Colorado Avalanche. They're also supposed to play the Pittsburgh Penguins on December 27th. So that's 2, maybe 3 games right there that might have to be added to the schedule in February. Again, certain arenas have more availability than others. TD Garden, full of Disney on Ice, Beanpot, if that goes ahead. Chris Tomlin, Hillsong United, who else? Tool. There were some other concerts in there as well. But they're going to have to really get creative with the schedule in order to accommodate these games. And those are only the ones that have been postponed so far. There could still be some postponements coming up after the break. But there is now that window of time to accommodate those games. And, there was somewhat of an assumption out there I've seen on my timeline. Just carry on as usual, but it's not that simple. There have been arenas that have been booked, and they have to kind of work out who's available when and how to fit those games in an appropriate manner. So that was something that Cam Neely addressed here on Wednesday morning. One of the other big items he addressed was Tuukka Rask. He said Don Sweeney and Rask's agent have had discussions, but nothing in terms of a contract just yet. Rask had been skating with the Bruins and had been able to practice even with the full team as an emergency backup goalie with Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark out. Obviously, that has been put on pause. Neely wants to see him ramp things up in order to get a better look at his rehabilitated body, his surgically repaired hip, and see what he's able to do before they start talking about contracts and such. As of right now, still 10 players on the COVID-19 list, with Brandon Carlo joining Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Taylor Hall, Craig Smith, Curtis Lazar, Anton Bleed, Trent Frederick, Jeremy Swayman, and Oscar Steen. Bruce Cassidy said yesterday nobody has come close to being hospitalized. Everybody has mild symptoms, if any, which is great to hear. Comes back to everybody being vaccinated. But in the end, the NHL deciding that it's just not worth going over to Beijing for the Olympics this year, and they'll target 2026 and try to use this time to make up some games. Now, I did have some mailbag questions in relation to the schedule. We'll get to those in a moment. But first, a quick word about Get Primal. If you've got a beard, you need to get primal. You heard me right. If you have a beard, it's time to get primal. Maybe you're that person who's never considered the benefits of treating your beard with a product. Primal Origin Oils will stop the itch and make your beard look healthy and groomed. They help others look good and live healthier lives through the use of natural oils. The products are free from harmful synthetic ingredients and with low impact on the planet. Check out primaloriginoils.com to learn more about their full line of beard care products and use promo code LOCKEDON for a 20% discount at checkout. Most companies focus on fragrance first, and that leads to a product that doesn't feel good on the skin. They took a step back and focused on the ingredients to ensure a product that feels great and smells fantastic. They challenge you to compare their ingredients and feel imbued to other companies you've used, and we promise you'll see a difference. Remember to use that promo code LOCKEDON to get 20% off at primaloriginoils.com. That's promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for 20% off. This holiday season, grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. Sometimes even better than a candy bar, to be honest. Built Bar, it's filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, but high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. Gives you that extra fuel to bust down the doors at the mall for your last minute holiday shopping, and also to get through those family gatherings. A lot of preparation, wrapping, meal planning, and the like. You can also dip your Built Bar into a piping hot cup of hot chocolate and let it melt, give you that extra bit of flavor. Really good with the Built Bar Puffs with their marshmallowy interior. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you will get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Thank you again for making Locked On Boston Bruins your first listen every day. Again, free, available on all platforms for the podcast, and also on YouTube for video watchers as well. So please do subscribe as soon as possible. All right, let's get to some mailbag questions. A couple were in relation to the schedule, so I'll address those first. At Art Bowline asked, has any thought been given to having teams like the Bruins, whose arenas are solidly booked, maybe playing rescheduled games at a close proximity regional site that maybe has available dates? I don't think we've gotten to that point just yet, partly because TD Garden, like I said, Cam Neely outlined there's about 6 to 8 available dates. And as of right now, there are no reduced capacity mandates for TD Garden. Maybe, masking up here in Canada, we have half capacity and no snacks, no beers. So you have to wear a mask pretty much all the time. I don't know if I'll get to that point down there, but as of right now, full buildings are still allowed. And I don't think they're going to play at arenas with no ticket sales just to get these games in, knowing Bruins ownership, and just knowing the fact that the NHL already behind the 8 ball a little bit due to COVID-19. They're not going to want to give up those dates. So I can't see them playing at Warrior or anything like that to make up those games. They'll try to fit them in NHL arenas as long as they can try to sell them out. At Jim Beringer asks, could you see the NHL doing a bubble in Seattle or Vegas to play some games on neutral sites to get them in? Again, not quite there yet. That would have to mean zero capacity and kind of really strict lockdowns. Seattle, I know, has very open schedule at Climate Pledge Arena, for instance. The Bruins are scheduled to play the Kraken before and after the Olympic or scheduled Olympic break. But again, I don't think we're at that point just yet. The reason for canceling the Olympics, or not canceling, but not allowing players to go, is to try to fit NHL dates in NHL arenas with fans in the stands to get that gate revenue. So I don't see that happening quite yet, but it could come at some point if things don't improve. Rob Sony at Rob Sony Sports asks, how and when do the Bruins get their next first line center? Via trade, or are we headed to the tank post Bergeron? Well, in order to acquire a first-line center, you need the assets to do so via trade. We saw a bona fide local first-line center become available with Jack Eichel being traded from the Buffalo Sabres to the Vegas Golden Knights. The Bruins did not have the cap space nor the assets to make a serious play for Eichel. Really, I think it will come down to the Bruins tanking. I don't know if it'll be a full-on tank post-Bergeron along the lines of what we've seen the Sabres go through, the Coyotes, the Senators. Could be more of a rebuild on the fly situation. However, it's hard to say if that would actually succeed, if they'd be able to stay competitive once Bergeron is gone. They will still have Marchand for a bit, can build around Pasternak and McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman in net. There are some pieces there to remain competitive and to build around. They don't have to completely tear it down, but center depth will be huge. You need that in order to compete. Whether it's in the pipeline now, I don't really think so. Jack Studnicka doesn't really look like a top 6 center quite yet. Brett Harrison, John Beecher. I don't know if those guys are top 6 either. So it could either involve signing someone via free agency or drafting and developing. That could be a few years away to do that. So likely they would try to, swing a trade, get someone kind of like they did with Taylor Hall, kind of playing on the fact that no trade or no movement clauses or limited no movement clauses. Players only want to come to Boston, kind of like Taylor Hall, or targeting someone in free agency. And that's something we'll obviously talk about the closer we get to the offseason, who might be available and whether or not Bergeron re-signs. Final question comes from Rob Flynn. We are fully locked in on Fabian Lysell right now. World Juniors upcoming, beginning on Sunday. And Rob Flynn said, can't wait to watch Fabian Lysell play at the World Juniors, Boston's lone prospect in the tournament. What do you think a realistic timeline is for a call-up? Is he close to NHL ready? Stretch run this year, next season? Don't want to rush him, but this team needs scoring help badly. They certainly do. Unfortunately, with him being in the WHL, the only way he can be called up is by way of an extreme emergency. He would have to wait until next year at this point to likely, he'll be at training camp, certainly. If he has a strong showing, he could be with the Bruins as early as next season. More likely that he'll start in Providence and kind of get a taste of pro hockey before jumping right to the Bruins, as did David Pasternak. But I don't think he's very far away at all. He's had a strong season so far for the Vancouver Giants. I'm excited to watch him play for Sweden at the World Juniors. I would expect that he would be one of, a handful of players that could make a real impact. And I really hope that he does and gives the Bruins and their fans something to be excited about through the holiday season and in the midst of this ongoing pause for the Boston Bruins. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. They have you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. And you can bet on pro college basketball, pro college football, NHL, boxing, UFC. Even they have some of your favorite Vegas casino games. They have a new updated desktop mobile website, so you can sign up today for a free account and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit by using promo code LOCKEDON. That's at BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you for sending in those mailbag questions. I really do appreciate the interaction on social media, on the YouTube channel. And if you have any questions at any time, please do feel free to send those over. Let's finish with some news and notes from around the NHL. Old friend Tyler Seguin was noted in 32 Thoughts blog by Elliot Friedman. Seguin scored in Dallas's game against Minnesota on Monday. The stress is on in Dallas. Change is coming if the Stars don't surge over the second half of the season. He is locked in for quite some time, but would that be a guy that the Bruins try to bring back? He has developed into a top-line center before his injuries that required serious surgery this past offseason. Probably not a relationship that will be rekindled. Phil Kessel in Arizona is perhaps one, as the Bruins look for some secondary scoring. Oh, yeah, that was one thing I wanted to mention as well from Cam Neely's availability. He mentioned the team coming back after the break. Obviously, the goaltending has improved a bit. He'd like to see some improvement in the special teams. Secondary scoring still an issue, and he'd like to see more ugly goals. Talked a lot about on the podcast this season how the Bruins have sometimes tried to make that extra play, try to be cute with the puck. He wants to see more ugly goals coming from players driving to the net. And I think Phil Kessel could help there. He can shoot like nobody's business. And if you get him on a line with some guys who can get to the net, you could get a lot of screen opportunities, rebound opportunities. And I don't know. I think it would just be cool to see Phil Kessel play for the Bruins once again. Another guy that's really out there is Jacob Chychrun. Would be a perfect defensive partner for Charlie McAvoy. However, the asking price will be way too prohibitive for our Boston Bruins. It's just going to be too much. There was one game played last night, the final game before the extended holiday break. Tampa Bay defeated Vegas 4-3. Could very well be a Stanley Cup final preview in my mind, as the Lightning, two-time defending champions. Vegas has been there for the last bit, and they will get Jack Eichel back in the lineup sooner than later. So that could be very exciting as well. I think that's it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I hope you're all keeping well. It's tough out there. Sucks not to have the Bruins to kind of distract us from the realities that are going on. But again, thankfully, the cases among the Bruins are light, and they're still scheduled to play on Monday. We'll see if that actually comes to pass. If you're looking for something to enjoy in the meantime, I started watching 1883, which is the Yellowstone spinoff. Really enjoying that. I started rewatching The Leftovers as well on HBO, one of my favorite shows. A little bit, depressing to begin, but I just love it so much, and it's really good. Other than that, just trying to enjoy time with the boys here on the holidays. We got a mini air hockey table over the weekend, and I don't know where the Bruins one is, but they come with the little mini paddles. They have every team available, so we've been having fun playing with that and mixing and matching the teams for matchups and things like that. So just trying to make the best of it, take things one day at a time, and be back tomorrow. Not quite sure about a Christmas Eve episode, but certainly one more at least this week. And then hopefully on Monday we have Bruins Penguins game to touch on. If not, it'll be all Fabian Lysell all the time here on the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Take care, friends.